We will have like 15 minutes of short discussion time. And it's very hard for me to pose a question because I would like to start with a question so you can collect your ideas. But we traveled a long way, starting with Margaret. She talked a lot about policy and regulation and how easy solution can work out for children in the city. And then Mathieu also talked about a lot about system, supporting system and policies that could help and motivate actually settlements to take leadership in this child-friendly city movement. And then we also saw examples what can architects do actually, or how small actions and interactions can work out with children and cities. So I think we have many ideas what we can do now with the children. And I'm not sure how to start with this whole discussion, but actually maybe just with an easy one. Like, what is your motivation to work with children and to bring them into this safety and urban planning issue? What motivates you to do this job?
All right, okay, that's fine. I think for me it is, the motivation is the fact that it is a social justice issue. We have enormous inequality in Scotland, in the UK, and the gap is getting bigger between those who have and those who have not. And that gap is a financial, economic gap, but even more scarily, it's a health gap. So we have children whose life expectancy varies enormously across the country. And by getting children out to play in the public realm, by giving their needs a priority over the car, we can actually do something about that, and we can narrow this gap. And I think it's completely incumbent on us all morally to do this. This is the first generation of children where the life expectancy is not growing and whose parents may well outlive them. So I think it's incumbent on all of us to get off our butts and do something about it.
My motivation with children is that they are really brilliant and they are the next generation. And when I started to work with children, that was in 2010, I realized that they are lacking the confidence to make statements about their environment. They are learning what is expected from them, and I just wanted to open a discussion with them that they would form their own opinions and their own interests towards their environment.
Well, my personal motivation is, as Eva mentioned already, children are fantastic and they have brilliant ideas, and it's our role, adults' role, to help them to express their view, and also include all the decision process and all the strategies, what they want and what they believe, because they are the future. So if we are doing something or building something, we have to consider their view and opinion. And these are my principles as well. So I think that's the reason why I'm working for UNICEF and why I'm working with children. And talking about the two programs that I mentioned that I'm managing, one is focusing on cities and municipalities. The other one is working directly with children. So therefore, I think it's a good combination, because we more or less can advocate on a municipality level for children's opinion that is coming directly from children.
It seems that you have very diverse motivation, starting with health and opinion formulating, and when it comes to these questions, you also mentioned that we don't have children here, and that was the first question actually what I received from the media. So now we talk about child-friendly cities, but we don't have any youth here in the audience. So how is it working out? So, so this is one of the questions that bothers me. Like, whose role is to, support children, or whose role is to take care of their safety, And I think our audience is also a perfect example. We have teachers, urban planners, criminologists, police officers everywhere. So this would be my question. Whose role is to help children for the safer cities?
Well, what we have in Scotland is we have a children's parliament. So children are elected to the children's parliament, and they are supported to articulate their views and, as Mate was saying, to have their voice heard. And that's across a range of issues. And I think the urgency about that is that children need to have fun. They need to have a childhood now. Children aren't interested at this stage in their children they will go on to have. They have a right to have a playful childhood here and now. So it's really important that formal structures that children are comfortable with are put in place to have their voices heard.
Yes, but for that, I believe, I think all of us would have a role in providing these solutions, from the national policies through the local communities, because not all of these issues can be solved by them. They can have the right and the interests and the expression of interests, but the how it is going to be afforded by the environment is not up to them, but up to all of us.
I believe that actually it is our responsibility. So as adults, we have to help them because they are children, they have rights, they have special rights because they are children, but in some institutions or forums are not available for them, but their voice has to be heard. So we have, I think it is our responsibility.
Of Margaret, when you started to talk about how different stakeholders of the community come together and they just don't understand why they are sitting there. And in that moment when they experience, okay, I also have a grandchildren or a grandchild, then they get the idea. How would you convince people to join like the movement of safe cities in terms of child-friendly and safe cities? What would you say?
So in Scotland, we have a play charter. I've brought some hard copies, and we encourage people to sign up to the play charter and become a play champion. So our children's minister is probably the leading play champion, but we have the police force, we have the fire brigade, we have grannies, uncles, aunties, ordinary people, teachers, and we have a huge movement. And several times throughout the year, we ask them, what have you done as a play champion? And they have to step up to the mark and tell us how they're helping to deliver child's right to play.
What I realized that through children. So if we have a competition for children, they would involve their parents, their grandparents, their communities. So my view is that from bottom up in age, you would be able to get to the people and to those who would be actually doing some work for a better environment.
Actually, we as UNICEF, we have many programs. One, I think, which is the most relevant, is the Takeover Day, which is on 20th of November for 2 years now, and this will be the third one, when children can take over adults' jobs, and for a whole day they are the leader, and they can manage and direct adults. And this is a real learning experience for adults as well, that in that situation they have to stay calm, be quiet, and listen to the children. So therefore this day called Children's Voice Day is quite a popular one, and I hope that this year it will be also a big event.
Sounds very good. And now we have a little time for questions, if you are ready to ask. Do you have any of the audience? Bárkinek van kérdése esetleg az előadóinkhoz? Lehet jelentkezni, tudunk mikrofont adni. Ha nem, I see that our audience is very shy, but then I would have a last closing question. And I prepared many of those. Yeah, one? But then maybe we heard that we need to encourage them to talk about their needs and ideas and demands. And we also heard that they are brilliant. So what do you think? What can we learn from our children and the children about our cities and safety?
I've got to give an example of we try and bring play into the school day more and more. And we have a big push to try and have children to understand about engineering and mathematics. And we'll have a whole school day and we'll give the children in different classes bits and pieces to try and make some kind of car or vehicle. And we try and encourage the teacher to be the fellow tinkerer, not the leader, just the fellow tinkerer. And what's really interesting is the teacher's frustration when they realise that the P6, the children at the top of the school, want to be told how to make the car. How do you make the vehicle? But the P1 children just keep revising it, improving it, destroying it, making a new one. The creativity they have is endless. And I think the challenge for us as adults is to not suppress the creativity of our children. They do have the answers, you're right, but we kind of school it out of them and we need to keep it there. And I think that's a good contrast between the P1s and the P6s. Sorry.
I pretty much had the same experience that first when children come to these programs, they are asking what they should be doing. And then when I'm asking back, they start to open up. And then they go home and just talk and talk and talk about it all night long. So I think this creativity and freedom of thinking and the ability to see that they can make a difference. Maybe now, maybe a little later, maybe when they are grown up. They need to learn that, or they need to feel that when they are that small. Otherwise, they are going to forget about it and just do what everybody expects them to do.
I think it's a very interesting question, what we can learn from children, but it is very specific sometimes. So I'm promoting more the opinion of children or voice of the children that can be heard, because in general we can learn from them. But and I have a lot of examples, and I could pick many. But in general, I believe that if their voice is heard, then we will be surprised. Even in a very simple question, if you are turning to a child and asking his or her opinion, their perspective is sometimes so unique, and that could cause a very creative solution. So therefore, I think the consideration is the key. So without their voice, it's almost impossible to make the right decision.